Welcome back to Inside Personal Growth. This is Greg Voisen, the host of Inside Personal Growth. And joining me from Rancho Bernardo, California, is Dr. Bob Nelson. And Bob and Mario, make sure I pronounce your last name right. It's Tamayo. Is that right?
You got it.
Mayo. Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow, it's pretty good. We're going to be talking about work made fun gets done. Easy ways to boost energy, morale, and results. And, I'm not going to use the pandemic as an excuse, but I will tell you that, this pandemic has created more havoc in the workplace, as you guys know, than anybody. And you're well aware of it because you're out consulting all the time, talking to companies about the issues associated with that. And you have some great stories in the book as well, which I love. But I'm going to tell my listeners just a tad bit about you, about Bob. Bob's a PhD, president of Nelson Motivation Inc., is considered to be the leading authority on employee recognition and engagement worldwide, and has worked with 80% of the Fortune 500 companies. Dr. Bob is still practicing, and you guys can reach him at his website at drbobnelson.com, or is it just bobnelson.com?
Dr. drbobnelson.com.
There you go. And we also have Mario Tamayo. He's a principal with Tamayo Group Inc. and has more than 30 years of experience in maximizing human performance, working with companies such as Genentech, General Dynamics, J-Connect, Petco. So he also is an expert in this field, and they wrote this book together, and it just came out about how long ago, you guys? I'm trying to remember what Amazon said.
Middle of May.
Yeah. Middle of summer. So it's a new book for everybody. So, let's just kind of start this off with really a question for both of you. I kind of wanted to get both of you involved in this first one. Everybody'd love to have more fun at work. I do consulting as you guys do, so I realize the stresses and the anxiety in the workplace today. Why did you guys write this book, and why is it more important now, given the pandemic, given the times that we're in, given all the adjustments that workers are making, working from home, working from various remote locations, and that what they're dealing with, to be able to have higher morale and higher ability to perform in the workplace? Either one of you.
Yes. Well, this is my 31st book, and some say that every author is writing the same book over and over. And in many ways, this is another cut of the same cloth. All my books have been wrapped around principles, proven principles, research-based, that actually work to get a better result from employees, to better attract them, to better hold on to them, but are not widely applied in business. And so they're research-based, and this book is research-based. And then within that context of what we know to be true, what does it look like? It has 100% real-life examples from actual companies that are doing the things that we're talking about right now and getting results. So it makes it easier for the reader to you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just open the book anywhere and you can find a usable example. Mario and
I want to say for my listeners, I've never seen a book with so many examples and tools and techniques. You guys really did an awesome job of that. So congratulations. I mean, you cite the company, you cite what the people actually are doing. And I think that makes it a very practical book. This is something that anyone can pick up almost anywhere and open the page and get an idea from.
Greg, one of the reasons probably the major reason we wrote this book is back in the 70s, as you might have heard your father tell you, that the promise was we were probably, with technology and all the advances, that we were probably going to go to a 3 to 4 day work week by the year 2000, and that we were going to be all spending 20 to 30 hours at work, and we're going to be this leisure society. Well, the opposites happened. and we're spending a lot more of our time at work. And a lot of us have not been enjoying it so much. And another reason we wrote the book is that people are absolutely craving to enjoy their work since they have to spend so much time at it. And it has become the competitive edge out there in business today. And so we recognize that, and we've got some data that's in the book that says that. But the companies that are providing healthy cultures of fun and enjoyment are also the high performing companies. And the flip side of that is that employees who are having who are high performers are having the most fun. And Fortune came out with a study just recently about that, and it shows that 82% of the companies, the great companies that they identified, have great fun working environments, while only 62% of what they categorized as the good companies, only 62% were having fun. And so it just solidified and really just hammered home the point that we have got to do something where our employees today can enjoy themselves and have a lot more fun.
And that variable Mario just mentioned was the biggest differential on those that make the 100 best places to work for in America, Fortune's list, and those that don't. So
Right.
if you want to be a employer of choice that better attracts and retains talent, this is key to make it happen. And Inc. magazine, I think, put it well. They said, "Fun is frivolous, we know, unless you want to attract and keep the best employees."
Well, fun is a word that isn't frequently used in the workplace. So let's first state that. And so you bring something, I'm not going to say new, but you bring something that kind of gets glossed over, I think, by a lot of people. And you mentioned in the book that each year the Great Places to Work Institute asks thousands of employees to rate their experience in the workplace. What are the factors that are rated that make a workplace fun to work in? Because look, it's one thing to talk about fun. It's another thing to look at the factors that actually, or the culture, I should say, that even creates fun in the workplace.
And that's some of the research we were just citing from the Best Places to Work Institute and their creation of the Fortune's 100 Best Places to Work each year. So it's really just that one variable. Now there's a lot of things, and in the book we have about 15 categories of different ways to have fun, and we have it in 4 different chunks: what you can do individually in your own job, what you can do as a leader of a group, what the group can do, and then what the organization can do. So that's where the buckets that we filled in, the real examples that we identified. You're absolutely right, though. Fun is not commonly used at work. There are more and more companies that have fun as one of their core values that we were delighted to find. But there's an old line belief that, we're paying you to work, have fun on your own time, do that on the weekend. And the thing about it is that personal lives and work lives have merged. And so I don't know anyone that doesn't do some work emails at night or on the weekend or even on vacation, and likewise, if we're giving our personal time to work has got to be, it's a little bit more doable if we can make that journey and that time working with others and serving the customer more fun as well. It's only fair.
Yeah, it used to be that, we used to say, work hard, play hard. And that was the mantra of a lot of companies. And then when people got to work, they realized that the company was serious about the work hard part, but the play hard part was the one that fell by the wayside. And, it's interesting today that the way that people are having fun is they're bringing in new people, new employees who already have that as a core value. And I'm talking about the millennial generation, but 50 to 60% of them are saying, when I go to work, I demand to have fun at work. And if I don't get it, I'm going to move on to some other place. Right. So it's very compelling.
Well, when work is fun and pleasurable, productivity goes up. So let's just talk about that. We know that all the studies will indicate greater levels of productivity when people are having fun. They also get into flow more frequently. So they're literally, when you're having fun, you have an opportunity to actually kind of get the whirlwind mind gone and really be more creative and more innovative. And you speak about the philosophies about the fun workplace, and you talked about the do's and don'ts about great places to work. What are those do's and don'ts that some of our managers that are listening today online could actually implement? I mean, I'm going to encourage everybody, just go buy the book. We'll have a link to Amazon. You can go to both of their websites. There you go. We've got it up. But let's face it, whether they buy the book or not, we want to give them some value. And there are some do's and don'ts that I thought were quite valuable.
Mario.
Yeah. Well, number one is you don't make people have fun. So I want to start with that. It's one of the things that'll really kill it. If you try to make somebody have fun at something they don't consider fun, then you can just forget about it. So one of our principles is that to remember is that what's fun for some may not be fun for others. And we always say, keep that in mind no matter what you do. And as long as you're asking and you're respecting and you're providing people what they truly feel is fun, then you're 2 steps ahead right there.
So
Bob,
for example, yeah, you can't have fun at someone else's expense. That's definitely, it's not, so we don't believe in pranks. Pranks are funny for like 2 seconds, and then the person you're pranking is now upset. And I know companies have had like the Bonehead Award, and Jerry gets it this week because he made this client mistake. And all of a sudden Jerry say, hey, well, yeah, I had the support to do the job. I wouldn't have had to, and all of a sudden he's defensive, he's upset, he's thinking about quitting because you guys are jerks. And so it's not worth to go there. There's enough things to do where you don't have to do it at someone else's expense. Now you could do it at your own expense, and that's very powerful for a leader. If they make fun of themselves, it makes them more human, and it makes it. But there's so many ideas, and one of my biggest ahas in doing this whole project and the research that we did for years on collecting examples is that everyone's view of fun is different. And so that's why it's good to pull people in and include their ideas. And it may be different than you were thinking, but enjoy what they want to do, and we can all benefit from that. And along the way, by involving everyone, then it makes them more receptive as well. So
inclusion.
We have a lot,
inclusion.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
I think that's, and that leads me to this next question, which, Charlie Chase, the president of Genetic Synergy, created this color code. It's colorcode.com. And I've never heard of it before, but that's why I'm asking this question, because I think that it's really quite interesting. I didn't go to the website and take the quiz, but there is a quiz, and then you fall into a color code system. If you would, talk about the color code system to our listeners and how the system can help them create more fun in the workplace.
Yeah, let me address that. For those of you out there who are familiar with Myers-Briggs and Insights and DISC, and these are all personality preference models and profiles, and the color code is very similar in that regard. They have the colors blue, green, yellow, and red. And what that's all about is personal preferences, and it helps people to identify what they prefer, what drives them, and it also helps them have a conversation with other people where we can find out the colors of our coworkers, of our managers, of our direct reports. And what's most important is, number one, not to diagnose them and try and guess what they are, what they would like, but to use that as a start for a conversation to confirm what it is that they value and what they like. And some of your folks probably have heard of the platinum rule, and Bob and I go by that, and it's doing unto others the way they need to be done unto. And we feel it's even stronger than the golden rule of do unto others the way I want to be done unto, because the focus there for the golden rule is on myself. But what this is all about in having fun at work is, how do I set something up so other people value it as fun for themselves? So it's doing unto them the way they want to be done unto.
Boy, did you take me back, Mario. That was to Dr. Alessandro.
Tony Alessandro, right here.
Right here in La Jolla. I haven't seen him in a long time, but that whole platinum rule thing, he was
There you
all
go.
over that. That was a big
Yeah.
deal. I was thinking to myself, wow, Tony Alessandra. Wow.
We're dating ourselves now.
Yes,
We are dating.
we are. I'm sure he's still out there, right, Bob? He must be.
Yes, yes. He was in Vegas. I'm not sure if he's moved back or somewhere else, but yes, he had some great content, and I remember using some of his training movies. The Pygmalion Effect, I think, was one that he worked on. It was very good.
He also had a bunch of assessments as well that he created.
Oh yeah,
people.
Yeah.
Now,
so again, the bottom. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So, but the bottom line is it puts them in kind of a category so that all the co-workers can determine really how everybody works, how they like to have fun. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. In fact, one of our do's is that you want to, when you're deciding what to do, is ask people, form a committee, a cross section of your organization, get management involved, get an executive sponsor, get the people on the front line, and find out what the different parts of your organization really like. Not just for individuals, but also for the different, teams and departments and all that. Bob,
volunteers, yeah, you can have it's not very hard to have a fun committee and have volunteers and see what they come up with, and to brainstorm, to prioritize, and support them to try a few things. And maybe if they need some budget, maybe you can give them some of that. But a lot of things you could do don't cost any money. They're just fun. I was going to say that Mario and I both worked with Dr. Ken Blanchard for quite a while, and one of the things he used to say was that management is what you do with people, not to them. So this is a perfect example of that. You want to involve people, you want to use their ideas, maybe rotate the responsibility. When Mario and I worked together there, in fact, and we had staff meetings, one of the things we would do, and we tried different things to keep it fun. If you do the same thing over and over, it's going to be boring, So we would have. I remember we tried. We'd started the meeting with a joke and we'd rotate who would tell the joke. Now, some people were good at that, some people were not, but they had a whole week to practice, and when they're done, they're gonna be a little better doing a joke. So it was fun no matter what.
What would you guys say about the culture having a permission to have fun? It's interesting. You can go into various cultures and you can see the ones just by the demeanor, how they're a little more lively. And then you go into others and you'll get this heavy air when you walk in. I call it heavy air. It's almost like it pulls you down. And it's almost like, it's almost like you don't have permission. What would the two of you say would help management decide that permission is good to allow people to do this? Because I think in a lot of places, not even allowed.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, go ahead, Mario.
I was going to say, I remember what you just said about having permission to do it. I remember when I was doing wellness in the workplace in the 80s, where we were trying to get organizations to have a healthier workforce. And a lot of the same benefits for wellness you get and you enjoy from having a fun work environment. And what we'd like to say is we got to take it up a notch, even above permission. We want the organization not to give permission, but to encourage and to nurture. And
wrong choice of words, but
no. It's where business is. It's like, well, we allow that to happen here, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to transform it to say, no. We've really got to embody the spirit of this, and we have got to encourage it. We've got to ask people how they're doing with it and this and that. And, one of the things in our book is we talk about how do you get top management who poo-poos the idea? How do you get them and convince them that fun is great? And Bob's got some great ideas about this.
Yeah, and just to build on the idea you gave, Mario, I remember in talking with you about the wellness programs, like you did it for General Dynamics, that part of the success was getting executives involved. So you'd set up a yoga class and there'd be some executives that would come to it. So they're walking the talk, and that encourages other people. And so that's a great strategy. I remember working with the California CalPERS, California retirement system, managing $7 billion in assets for California employee retirements. and they were very, very stiff, very stodgy. Money. We're managing finances. We can't be, having fun here. And man, we worked it, and I showed them the data, how their people were very stressed and burnt out, and we convinced them. A couple of things. One of the challenges they had is they said, we can't. We're using taxpayer money. We cannot spend money on stuff that's frivolous.
Right.
And I put together a list. There's about a 12-page list of government agencies, federal, state, and local, what they were doing, their legislative authority, and the results they got. And that went into a board meeting, and they came out and they said, we're going to do it. So I loosened up the purse strings, and then we appealed to top management. And you'd think, well, they're never going to go for that. We got them to create a music video. and they were all on camera. And I tell you what, once we broke the ice, they loved it. And they were all in a music video, and the employees loved it. And all of a sudden, by action, not by decree, the tone is set. We're loosening it up here.
Well, and I think
it was very powerful.
That's an important point of your book. You guys have included tools, techniques, examples, lots of examples that so many consultants that you guys talked to had developed, and companies that you've spoken to create fun in the workplace. Can you speak about a few of these tools, techniques that would stand out and are available to the listeners to consider implementing into their workplace? Because like I said, when we started this, you open this book up, and I mean, literally from almost page 2 or 3, other than the introduction, you guys are already citing examples and things and tools and things that people have used that have had success. And I think that community of fun that you guys have created is really something that these people that are listening could get involved in. It's almost like, hey, did Dr. Bob and Mario create this, community of fun? Speak about that if you would, though.
Well, it's sort of, I spent a lot of time studying organizations. I got my master's in organizational design and my PhD with Peter Drucker in organizational behavior and human behavior, and so I've kind of come to the conclusion that the way you get things going in organizations is not by policy, not by a program. If you have a program, it have a start, a middle, and an end, and it goes stale. But you do it by behavior. You get down to the individual focus of control. So we're all about getting into the individual worker and the individual manager and showing them how they can make things happen. So let me give you an example. I know Mario's got a lot as well, but one of my favorite, because you can do this in person or you could do it virtually as well on Zoom, is when you get next time you get your group together, say, hey, let's do something different here to start. As I go around the group, as I call someone's name, I like everyone to say what they most value about working with that person. Let's start with Jerry. Okay, now Mary, 100% positive comments from your peers. That's called a praise barrage. You can do it in 5 or 10 minutes. And I tell you what, it will lift everyone up. They will feel better about themselves, and whatever was called out that they were good at, Tom always jumps in to help out. I value that so much. He takes initiative. Thank you, Tom. I guarantee you that Tom will do more of that going forward, because what gets recognized gets repeated. And so it's a great, simple team building. And next time you're together in person, you can do the same thing with index cards. Write down a thank you for someone else in our group that you owe. You get 4 or 5 thank you cards of things that people value that you've done in your job. You're going to feel better about yourself. And on a practical level, you're going to see what you're most valued for and do more of those things.
I got to tell you that that's a great activity, Bob. And I must say, and I have to give props to my sister, Elsie Tamayo, because she started that at the County of San Diego in the 1980s. And people, the way it worked was people would take strips of paper and they would write something nice, fold it up, and they'd put it in the middle of the table. And then it was up to each person to read out loud what other people said to them. And I got to tell you, this is when the tears started to flow for some people, because they were saying, this is the greatest thing. I've never been recognized. Nobody's ever said this stuff about me in my 20-year career. And right away, we knew we had something, because it just connected with people. And that's really what it's about, is we're working so hard, we're working so long, that we have a tendency to forget about the human spirit at work. And what fun at work, what wellness at work, what they do is they honor the human spirit at work, and they allow the shared experiences and the connections, what's called Ubuntu. Bob, you want to mention anything about that?
Well, yes, that's Mars saying that because he knows I've done a book on that, the South African principle of unity and connectedness. And we, I am what we are as a basic concept. So that's a different podcast. But I got to tell you,
I go back to the days, Bob, when I would go to San Francisco and go to Spirit in the Workplace conferences, right?
There you go.
And and then as a result of that, I went back to school and got a master's degree in spiritual psychology.
I love it.
So the reality is that what you're speaking about, what we're all talking about here, really, when people are allowed to express themselves freely, and have fun, and when they're doing it, creativity goes up, productivity goes up, morale goes up. Everybody has a lot more fun, and they want to be around those people too. They'd like to get a dose of it. It's kind of like,
they're eager to get into work, get into the job.
Here comes Mario and Bob, the twins, with all this inspiration and fun they're going to bring in. So
only when it comes to hair.
Yeah, exactly. But I love that. Now, you guys, look, Gallup is big. You cited a study, 7,200 plus U.S. adults revealed that 1 in 2 had left their jobs to get away from their managers. They hate their managers to improve their overall life at some point in their career. What?
We go to work for a great company. We leave because of a bad manager. That's kind of the rule.
Right. And we've got some managers that are listening. Okay. Guarantee you there's going to be managers listening. And we're not pointing a finger at you. What I'm trying to get at is, what advice do you have for managers to help inspire them to inspire their employees to become more engaged at work? Look, we know the engagement levels at work are extremely low levels. They have been for quite some time.
Decades.
So if that's the case, that means everybody hates work, but not everybody does hate work. There's a percentage of people that love to work. How do you find the balance, and how do you inspire these people?
The other thing we're in the middle of is called the Great Resignation, that we have people leaving, quitting their jobs in droves. And there's a lot of debate about why that's happening. But in a nutshell, it's like they've had the whole pandemic to think about, is this really what I want to do with my life? And I hate my commute. I hate my boss. I hate what I'm doing. And time to make a change. And they are doing that. And so far, just the last 3 months, it's been 11 million people in America have quit their jobs because they want to do something new, something different, and whatever. They're very clear they don't want to do what they have been doing.
Well,
and that includes the commute.
I say much to the chagrin of the managers, because now you've got to go replace these people. And many of the people, Bob, I need to add this, that are making the decision to do that are really your higher level employees who have an extremely high level of consciousness. Mm-hmm. And these are the people that the organization has relied upon to actually help strategize, get things done, move the workforce. And that's 11 million people, Bob. That's a lot of displacement of high-level management people leaving to go out and seek something else.
It's going to continue as well. The whole ball of wax, the commute, the not enjoying their work, the wanting a greater purpose in their life. Yeah. And so if we can't get that at work, where are we going to get it? It's sort of
so Mario, for the people that are staying, not leaving.
Yes.
What advice do you have for them to inspire this workforce to have more fun, so that with the morale does increase? I mean, look, the reason I'm kind of sitting in this little office up here upstairs, because I just came from a consulting gig and I was running like crazy to get here to make this. But the reality is that, I see it. I was just there. Mm-hmm. I see an owner of a company with 120 employees in the boardroom, and his voice, an octave of his voice went up 15-20% because of lack of communication.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
saying, look, we're falling apart because you guys aren't talking to one another.
Yes.
What's
You-
going
you-
on
and
here?
You hit it on the head,
And
and good communication always starts with having an authentic respect for other people. And
Mhm.
really, one of the best things a manager can do is they've got to realize before they go to work, before they get on the Zoom call, that they have to ask themselves, what are we doing here? What is this company all about? Oh, this company provides this product or service. And who does that? Oh, we have people that do that. And every individual, we're only as good as our individuals put together working as a team. And if we can start off by asking questions and by finding good things that people are doing and noting and catching people doing things right, that is the first start. So the first thing that we do is we got to recognize the good work that our people are doing now under these conditions that they're under.
So recognition.
Absolutely. Number one.
And-
Number two is their career development. Is we got to talk to them and find out what is it they really want to do next,
Mhm.
and help them get there. Bob, you were going to add some other things there.
I was going to say, so in a nutshell, stop telling and start listening. Start asking the questions and don't assume you have all the answers. And here's what the problem is. Tony, you didn't do that. You didn't do that. And instead you have, I did my doctoral work on the power of recognition, of catching people doing things right, and why managers do it or don't do it. And it's been called the greatest management principle on earth, that you get what you reward, what you inspect, what you reinforce, what you catch people doing something right, you will get more of that. You lead the charge by doing that. There's so many managers that the way they're trying to lead their people is they're chasing them about performance. You did that wrong. You did that wrong. We have a policy about that. The customer complained about this, and the whole thing is 100% negative. That doesn't drive behavior. It drives people away from you. They don't want to. They avoid you. They don't want to work for you, and then they're miserable. And then they come home and they make their family miserable. 15% of workers, the average worker spends 15% of their time at home complaining about their boss.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God.
Well, you both remember this, and especially of Drucker's School of Management and what you did. Command and control we know doesn't work anymore, but we do realize it's still happening. But to make the person aware that that technique is inappropriate, I'm going to actually say inappropriate. A lot of people would say, no, it's not. I'm still going to do command and control because the buck stops with me. I write the checks. It's my money. It's my business. It's, I'm going to run it the way I want.
It's short-sighted.
It also is very controlling. It also, those kind of companies where you could cut through the air are the kind of companies that are run like that. Now Bob, this is a really important one. You stay at over 25 million meetings per day in the US today, and it makes up 15% of an organization's collective time. And that most of these meetings are unproductive. And I paraphrase because the book even talks about financially how unproductive they are. What are some of the things organizations can do to make meetings more fun, more productive, and raise the morale? This is a big one, because if we're going to have these meetings, why not have good meetings? If we've got to have them. And then who plans these meetings so that they are spontaneous, fun, good, and people are walking away going, yay!
Well, first, I would highly recommend doing away with standing meetings, which is, every Monday or every Friday we're going to meet for an hour and a half, and we're going to talk about how it's going. Don't meet just to do that and waste time, and people don't want to go and it's boring. If you have a party and no one comes, it's really not much of a party. So you got to start thinking of meeting like that. How can this be fun for people so they want to be here? How can we vary it so it's interesting, maybe to help them learn new skills? And so that might be having rotating who leads the meeting. So it's not just the manager every time. That would be interesting. Or I remember when Mario and I worked together, we were working in developing training materials. to my chagrin, I felt that the group was kind of a court low in basic grammar and grammar skills. And so I don't know if you remember this, Mario, but I did.
Oh, I remember that.
I did grammar quizzes, and they were quick, and we'd score them together, and you can't do that and not learn something. And so I kind of, as a fun activity, I rose the competence level of everyone that's working on writing and editing, and as a group, we got better at it. I know I was good at it. I've taught business writing skills for 6 colleges, so I know I could do it, but I don't want to do everyone's job. I want them to be better at doing their job.
Now I have to say that our
mix
meetings,
up the meetings. Don't have them be regular. I'm trying to paraphrase here. They don't need to be every Tuesday or every Thursday or whatever. They need to be based on the need that's maybe what's happening, right? In other words, we have a desire to meet, something's going on, we need to talk about it, we need to have a discussion. Then vary up the person that maybe is responsible for the meeting.
Yes, only invite those people that need to be there. Don't have everyone come if it doesn't involve them, just the core people, and that could vary from meeting to meeting. And then vary what you do. Mario and I used to have standing meetings. You want to have a short meeting? Do a standing meeting. All of a sudden,
physically standing meeting.
Yeah, all of a sudden we're done in 20 minutes, It's like, or we had a fun thing. I know you remember this, Mario, that we, because we got pretty excitable and people are very engaged and stuff, and we're talking on top of each other. So I brought in a coconut. I said, okay, here's the new rule. You can only speak if you're holding the coconut. So we're passing around the coconut. Hey, let me have the coconut.
Flying, throwing it.
And it was fun. It was silly, but it served a function as well. So fun is practical as well.
It's like you could also do. I go back to the days when we did this at Levi Strauss. We'd hand a talking stick.
There you go.
And we would move the talking stick around in the basement there, because that's a Native American kind of tradition. But it worked really well because you could only speak if you had that talking stick.
Yeah, it kept order.
And it really allowed people to express themselves. I love some of the ideas that you're giving.
Now, also, there's a lot of companies that will not meet on Wednesdays. As Bob mentioned, standing meetings. Yeah. They will meet as quickly as they can. If you're late to a meeting, people sing.
Or pay a fee.
Or pay a fee, or put it in a little cup. All kinds of little things there.
My son went to a boot camp for programming, and I love the fact that, they have 40 people in the class, and they're all trying to move into a new career. Whoever was late, they started at 8:30 every morning. Whoever was late, they would stop what they're doing. Everyone would turn to the person. They had to explain why they're disrupting everyone's education. It's like no one was ever late, So you can't. I meet in some corporations. I meet and people are drifting in and out, and I go, "How do you guys get any work done here?" It's like it's like a movable feast. It's sort of like
Well, I like some of the ideas that both of you gave, and I think again for my listeners, we'll put the link to the book. Just go get the book. There's hundreds of them in the book, and we did touch on this a little bit, and I love, Mario, your story about your sister in the county of San Diego and the recognition. But
I cite her in the book I wrote, 1,000 Ways to Reward Employees, and Nelson Tamayo. She had a lot of good suggestions for me.
Well, it was a whole case study.
Yeah, we know that recognition is a good thing for productivity in the workplace, but it appears that this happens far less than we might think. And again, you cited that in the book. You said, "Hey, look, recognition is great, but it's just not happening enough." This lack of recognition has massively negative impact on how employees feel about the workplace. And I could concur. Recognition comes in a lot of ways: time off, free dinner, a salary increase, a bonus, whatever. I mean, those are the standard ones.
Thank you in the hallway. Call out at the beginning of the meeting.
What advice would you provide to the managers listening about improving the recognition program so their employees can get a job well done? What would you say? Because this is a big one.
I'd say start with the behavior in your own sphere of influence. Think of what you can do as a leader. And so some managers will, I worked with ESPN. A manager said, whenever we start a meeting, we start the same way. We name 5 things that are going well. And usually it's pretty easy, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes things aren't going well. We never skip that step because that's our homeroom, that's our touchstone to allow us to take on the next obstacle or problem. So again, something positive, calling out. When I worked with Bank of America, 210,000 employees, I convinced them that recognition was so important, it couldn't be arbitrary. It couldn't be if you feel like it, if you happen to get to it, because then it would never happen. So they started a policy that if you meet at the bank, whether it's 3 people, 300, all meetings will start with some type of recognition. It could be calling out the achievement a department did. It could be someone finished a degree or had a birth in their family. It could be any number of things, but something for the success of the bank, how things are going, and so you make it part of it. Or when I worked with NASA last fall, Johnson Space Center is in Houston, Texas, which is ranked, by the way, and this is no coincidence, #1 best place to work in federal government. #1. That doesn't happen by accident. Right. And you walk in the building and you feel the energy. You see it on the walls. You hear it in the conversations. And when I attended meetings from managers, I remember one, they said, as per our custom, they say the last 10 minutes of this management meeting to go around the group and ask everyone to share one thing they've done to recognize someone on their staff since we last have been together. And I tell you what, you could just feel the energy, the pride rise. And I noticed something else, that people would say, Tom, that's a great idea. I'm going to try it. They learned from each other. They became a self-learning organization, each trying things and then sharing with others what's working and learning from each other. That's how you make it to the top and be a culture that everyone wants to be at. And on and on. I wouldn't have done 1,001 Rewards, which is his 47th printing, is now 1,501 ways to reward employees. So it's all the time if you open your eyes to it.
One of the things that
sincerity, I just want to add is, you don't want to just do recognition to do recognition. It needs to come, there really needs to be a sincerity, and it needs to be from the heart.
Absolutely.
And I'm not talking about a bonus or a paycheck, but also, Mario, in these times of the pandemic, we saw many companies, small, big, let's cite it. AMC virtually went out of business. Zoom went through the ceiling. Moderna went through the ceiling. But many companies, very large, were struggling financially and under tremendous pressures. Yet we saw many rise to the top as well. The question I might be is, under financial constraints like this and pressure, it seems to be that the culture changes drastically. And to have all of these things happen, and you say have fun in a workplace when there is so much financial stress, becomes a challenge. What would you say to a founder out there of a company who maybe is experiencing something like that right now as a result of just the economics, the kind of business they're in? God, you certainly wouldn't want to be in the theater business right now. You might not even want to own shopping centers right now. Right. Considering, just what's been going on with the pandemic. Not as bad, but the reality is there's still fallout. Any thoughts about that?
Yes, I've got a lot of thoughts about that, because, what you just described is someone that they're starting to panic because they're not getting results. So they push harder. And they make more commands, and you must do this, you must do this, and people say, guess what? I'm not doing it anymore. I quit. And so you can't force performance from anyone. If someone puts a gun to your head, you can do whatever they say, but that's not the situation. People have, in America today, they've got more freedom than ever before to leave and go find another job. We're in an employees market right now. It's very hot, and it will continue.
975,000 last month. Jobs created. So our jobs are way up each month.
Created, not filled, because and it's not just because of the pay, it's because of the environment and whatnot. So just to give you an example from the Great Recession, 2009, there are two companies that competed head to head, Best Buy and Circuit City. You remember Circuit City? They're not around anymore because
Right.
when they both were hit with the recession, they had two different approaches. Circuit City said, "Well, people are our biggest expense," as is the case in most companies. 90% of the pay and benefits goes to employees. People are our biggest expense. We got to cut people. And cut they did. They laid off 9,000 people, a whole strata across the country. And wow, that month their financials looked good, but by next month they started to tank because they threw out all their experience. And I actually, true story, I remember being in the Circuit City, and somebody was, I don't know if maybe it's how I look, but someone said, "Hey, can you help me? I'm looking for a car stereo." I go, "Man, let's go look at the car stereos." And then someone else did it. do you work here? "Well, I can help you." And the store manager comes over and offers me a job. I go, "Thanks, I got a job." But you got to think about training the people you got here because you're not serving the customer. Too late, they're out of business. They had to close down. Now, you take Best Buy, same company, same products, the same time. They were hammered by the recession.
Yeah.
But instead of saying people are our biggest expense, they said people are our biggest investment. We need to get more out of them. We need to get it now. So they started for the first time. Maybe they could have done it earlier, but the recession prompted them to set up an online suggestion program to ask people, how can we save money? How can we better serve customers? And within 3 weeks, they got 900 suggestions. And even if they didn't implement all of them, they implemented enough of them. And just by doing that, it showed people that, wow, they like my idea. I got another one for you. And it turned the whole thing, and they got a better, people rose to the occasion to help the company through a tougher time. They blew it out of the water. They're still doing well. They took over the market that Circuit City had, and they're still, I think, a very exceptional company. So that's what I see in companies. You could say so it's a problem, or you could see it's an opportunity.
So the bottom line here is that when we're faced with a challenge, and you mentioned it before, Greg, is we've got to communicate with each other immediately, early and often, and we've got to take the philosophy of we're all in this together. So let us solve this together. And that's really what Bob's getting at here. You are our most valuable asset here. We're going to give you something, we're going to provide you with something that's low or no cost right now to just catch your breath. Let's have a little fun here. Let's remember why we're all here. And let's talk about what we all need to do together as a team to get out of this or get through this.
Even say that verbatim, to say this is why we're doing it, because we do value you, and then that will give you the financial stability to be able to do things for employees. You take Southwest Airlines, they're known for the culture of having fun and whatnot. People don't realize they're also they've been profitable 30 years in a row.
Yeah.
And as a result, they're able to pay their people better and have better benefits than other airlines because they're financially successful. So,
and did you know during the pandemic, they were the only one that didn't take government money?
There you go. God bless them.
I didn't know that.
They did not take any government money. Delta, United, all the others took government money. They did not take any government money.
Okay, I admit it. I took government money.
Yeah, they were proud to say that. Now, look, in wrapping the interview up, because look, you guys gave a lot of ideas, tools, and it's one thing to listen to a podcast, and it's another thing to actually implement what's been talked about. And as people listen to these podcasts, they look for the takeaways. And I always ask the authors toward the end, what are the takeaways? If there were 3 things that each of you would recommend to help improve morale, bring more fun, and improve productivity, because every employer listening, if they're in upper management, is saying, hey, I need to tick up my numbers with improved productivity at the same time, while creating this culture where people can express themselves, have fun, and whatever. What are the 3 things? Let's start with you, Mario, because you've been sitting there patiently.
Oh, I don't know about patience. Again, communication's huge. So the first thing I would do is I would have a one-on-one with all my people, and I would ask them. I would actually ask them, you bring the agenda here. My purpose for doing this is I just want to find out how things are going for you.
Good idea. Great idea.
So that's one. Bob, what do you have?
Well, I just build on that because in many ways, any of us have to work with our conversations. So a one-on-one, but you can have that as a group as well. And I would say whatever goal is, instead of feeling like you've got all the answers as a manager and you've got to make the right decision for us to be successful, I'd lay that out and say, hey, here's the objective we have. What do you think we can do to reach there? Because they know their jobs better than you do. They're doing them. Even if you used to do their job, it's changed since you did it. So get closer to the action of the interaction with the customers or what they're seeing, when they try to sell the customer or the problems that are coming in on a customer service line. And maybe you should be listening on those as well, but get to their strength. And I worked with a company in Norfolk, Connecticut, Boardroom Inc. That they did a thing called iPower, where they asked every employee to turn in 2 ideas for how we can improve things around here, save money, better serve the customer every week. Each week, 2 ideas from every employee each week. And they got that going, and suddenly they were getting thousands of ideas. And they couldn't implement all of them, but they implemented a lot of them. And as a result, they increased their revenues 5-fold in a 3-year period just by asking people for their own suggestions for how we can improve.
Good
things.
old suggestion box works
Yeah,
again.
But it's not just a suggestion box, because that's in the lunchroom with the lock on it. No one ever opens. This is actually asking people, and then they had other employees, volunteers, review the ideas, and they said, we want to encourage these ideas. So most of them, they said, that's a great idea. You should really do it. And they gave it back to the person. Let us know how we can support you with your idea. Yeah. So it wasn't just a rubber stamping. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. It's get to them,
Mario's got something he wants to say.
I want to say the third thing here is
there we go.
What Richard Branson does, and a lot of other execs do this as well with large organizations. They will actually sit down on a Sunday and they will write out by hand a card. They'll write out a card about what they're thankful for each of their people that they work with directly. Branson will even go visit different sites, and if he can't meet everybody there when he goes to visit, he will write them a card that, I'm sorry I missed you, but let me tell you what I love about what you're doing. And again, I think that is just so motivating, as long as it's genuine and it's authentic, and it doesn't cost anything other than somebody's time.
Well, what
Attitude of gratitude.
What I love about Bob and Mario is you're creating awareness. This is, yep, I'm going to tell all my listeners, go to the link that we're going to have at the website, buy the book. And it's not because it's lining their pockets with gold, because it's really not. What you will want to do, though, is check out their websites, because if you're in need of finding a consultant to help you bridge this, these 2 gentlemen would be it. And they both have the expertise, but certainly get the book. There's plenty of ideas in this book that you can implement yourself. I want to thank you both.
Paperback. It's very inexpensive.
It's a Barrett Kohler book. Great company. We will have links to both of your websites. We'll have links to this. Thank you both for being on Inside Personal Growth and spending. Namaste to you, Mario. Appreciate it. You guys spending some time with my dedicated listeners. We'll make sure that everybody gets this and gets it out. And I hope that if you're still listening right now after 50 minutes of this call, that you will take time to go check out the book, their websites. Thank you so much, you guys.
Great. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Love to come back anytime.
We'll have you back for certain.